Hi YouTube. I want to talk about cats today. Now, I thought about sharing, these articles with you and going through each of the reasons why it is a bad idea to let your cat outside. To let your cat roam outdoors, I should say. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to talk to you about an experience that happened to me this evening. I will link you to an article in the description where you can read through these reasons yourself. There are many other articles like this online. It's pretty straightforward stuff. So you can learn about that on your own. So what happened to me tonight is this. I was picking my son up from his basketball game. And his basketball coach is also our neighbor. And this neighbor has been causing me a lot of grief for a very long time. But I did not confront this neighbor until tonight about the things that he does that cause me grief, because I was concerned about the fact that his kids play with my kids. I did not want any, bad vibes between us. So I've been stewing in my resentment. His dog barks constantly when he and his wife are at work and the kids are at school. They leave their dog outside. It's a pack animal that gets very upset when it's left alone, so it barks out of boredom and stress, probably anxiety, being alone. It's terrible for the dog. It's very cruel what they do, but anyway, it's very hard on our ears and on our stress levels to have to listen to this dog. It's hard on our nervous systems. My son is a home learner, so when we're trying to get schoolwork done, we have to listen to this dog. I've talked about how I have white noise machines on all the time. Anyway, that's a whole other story. Check out my video about how dogs are ruining our lives and ruining our health. Studies were done where, that show that when there is noise pollution, such as dog barking, children perform less well at school when they are subjected to noise pollution. So anyway, getting back to the cat problem and cats. So this family also has a cat that they let roam. And excuse me. That was not expected. I'm just drinking some lemonade here. Actually, let me have another sip. I apologize for any future burps. Anyways, so I have talked to you. Regular viewers of this channel will be aware that I love birds. I love to feed birds, and that my youngest son and I really enjoy the relationship we have with the Stellar's jays. We have a family of like 10 to 12 Stellar's jays that we feed by hand. We are able to identify certain individuals in this flock of birds by their behaviors and their markings. We have names for some of them. They come to me when I call them in the morning. They are our friends and we really care about them. So when we see this neighbor, this basketball coach's cat in our yard hunting birds every day, and I know that this cat, well, maybe not this particular cat, but I have seen a dead Stellar's jay in my yard that was ripped apart, obviously by a cat. This cat wants to kill our friends, right? That we care about. And it's causing my son a lot of anxiety because, as you know, we don't have pets. We do care about these birds. They're the closest thing we have to a pet. So my son worries a lot. He'll name the birds. Oh, I haven't seen so-and-so today, or I haven't seen that one today. I hope the neighbor's cat didn't kill it. And I see that he's really worried when he doesn't see a particular individual bird come around for a couple of days. He gets really upset and worried. And it's been bothering me. And part of me is like, well, I tell him we shouldn't get too attached to these birds. They are wild animals after all. And they do have predators. We've seen owls and hawks hunting them in our yard. And so my son understands that. But the fact that cats are not a natural predator, cats are an invasive species that don't have any role in the ecosystem where we live. They don't have any role in any ecosystem on Earth because they were selectively bred by humans. I've talked about that in other videos. Please see my playlist called what's it called? The Truth About Cats and Their Owners. Global Cat-astrophe is a video that I put a lot of research into, so you might want to check that out. But cats are not a part of nature, which is something that cat owners don't seem to understand, which I've been trying to raise awareness about. Getting back on track now, we've been really stressed out about the birds, about the cat, and I've been thinking for a while that I want to confront this neighbor about his cat. But finally, this evening, when I was picking up my son, the coach came walking up to my car. He wanted to talk to me about something, so I rolled down my window, and we said hello, and he asked me, or he said that if we ever are strapped for a ride, because we live a little out of town. We live in a rural area out of town. And both of us have a little bit of property, right? So, but we're neighbors. And he said he would be willing to give my son a ride to basketball. And to just call him, that he would give my son his cell phone number, and we could call him anytime. He would be happy to give our son a ride to basketball or home from basketball. And I thanked him for that. And I think I was driving home after this all happened, and I thought he was probably expecting me to extend the same offer, but I didn't do that. I guess because I said to you, like I explained, I've been feeling resentful towards this guy for quite a while, and I'm like, this is it. This is my opportunity. I'm going to say something, because I felt too awkward about calling him on the phone or sending him an email. So I thought I'm going to seize the moment. This is it. And I said, actually, I said, thank you very much. And I said, there's something I've been meaning to talk to you about, and it's kind of awkward, but here it goes. And I explained the relationship my son and I have with the jays. And it's funny because he didn't even seem to know what I was talking about when I said jays. He had this blank look on his face, and I'm like, does he not know what I'm talking about? So I said the blue jays, the birds, and then it seemed to click. It's as if, I don't know, like he doesn't even notice that we have these birds around our houses, our place, or whatever, in our neighborhood. And I explained that we have a very special relationship with these birds, and I tried to explain about how we can tell them apart and how they each have their own little personalities that set them apart from each other. We can tell them apart by their personalities. And I explained about how they come to us when we call them and we feed them. And I said to him, some people care about their dogs and cats. We care about our birds. Well, they're not our birds. I think I said we care about the birds. And I explained that my son has been showing a lot of anxiety about the birds because his cat is in our yard almost daily hunting the birds. And at this point, he kind of rolled his eyes and said, yeah, she's a real hunter. And I said, yeah. So I'm wondering, if you could maybe, keep it inside. And at this point, he made it very clear that he has no intention of keeping it inside. He said straight up, like, we're not going to keep the cat inside. And I looked at him and I asked him, why not? And I don't think he was expecting me to do that. And he didn't really have an answer. He just said that it's a indoor-outdoor cat, and they have a cat door, and the cat is free to come and go. And then at this point, I started to explain that the Rufous hummingbird, which we have around here also, that we feed in the spring and the summertime, is now near threatened, and that cat predation is playing a major role in this. And he responded by saying, oh, but that's just in urban areas. It's very interesting to see the denial because this is an educated man, a professional, and I had to tell him, like, excuse me, like, no, this has nothing to do with urban or rural. And then he just seemed to glaze over, and he was just, he said, well, maybe you could try shooing her away. And I said, well, we do that all the time. Whenever we see it, we shoo it away, but it keeps coming back. And he said something that he hopes that it would stay in his yard. And I said, yeah, so do we. And he really didn't have anything more to say other than he's not going to keep it inside. And I asked why, and he couldn't really explain. And yeah, was not willing to really acknowledge what a threat his cat is to the local bird population here, and what a threat cats in general are to birds. And I suggested he look into it, and at the end I said, anyway, I just thought I would let you know how your cat is affecting us. It's causing us a lot of stress and anxiety, and I thought you should know. And he said, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I appreciate you telling me, even though we don't share the same opinion. And I said, yeah, we care about wildlife. Obviously, he doesn't. But I told him that we do, and that was it. And then he walked away, and I drove home, and I was thinking he was probably expecting me to offer to drive his kids to basketball too, and to give him my cell number and stuff, but I didn't do that. And I feel fine with how I handled things. I am sure that there are a lot of people out there who would not have done what I did. My husband says that he's very proud of me because he's been very bothered by the presence of this cat in our yard as well. And he would rather have a strained relationship with the neighbors than to pretend everything is okay when it isn't. The people that live around us are quite ignorant. We live in northern Canada in a rural area. And for a while, I was very angry with the people around me for being so ignorant, and I'm still struggling with that. I started this video by explaining to you that I've been feeling very resentful toward this neighbor, but I'm starting to change the way I think and feel about this because I don't know, I've just been hearing more things and watching interviews with one of my favorite new reggae artists, for example, Jesse Royal. In an interview was explaining, well, here, I'll just let you listen to it.
Passionate enough to know, firstly, where you start from, what kind of temple me I deal with before me start judge your actions.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And I think that is the next thing where a lot of people forget, say, human beings come in many different shapes, size and form, and perspective and stage in a life and stage in a learning. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, patience key, because you may be at a place that I just have not reached yet.
Right.
And for you to look down on me for not reaching there yet is almost preposterous and unfair of you. Yeah, and egotistical and unfair of you.
Yeah.
So it's like, my thing is we have to know each other too, because me have to know.
So I'm thinking it is preposterous and unfair of me to expect everyone else to have the awareness I have, because I have not always had this awareness. For most of my life, thought dog ownership and cat ownership were just great. I didn't see any problem with this. I thought that it was fine to let my dog shit on the sidewalk and not pick it up. I thought it was fine to leave my dog tied up outside and let it bark all night long. I thought it was fine to let my cats roam outdoors. it didn't cross my mind that this was antisocial behavior, you know? How would I have wanted to be spoken to at that point in my life? How would I have responded to someone who, would have called me, mentally ill, called me names, expressed a desire to have my dog killed? I mean, I would not have responded positively to that. I would not have been open at all to listening to anything someone like that had to say. I would have maybe been open to a different point of view if the person presenting it to me treated me with respect and spoke to me in a way that I am trying now to speak to other people. I could have been nicer to my neighbor. I admit that. Had it been a year or more ago, I would have been a lot more rude. I can tell you that. But I wasn't rude. My son says I was a bit harsh. Maybe I was. I could have offered to drive his son to basketball. I didn't do that. So there is room for improvement. I admit that. I've been feeling angry and upset with this man for a very long time. So those emotions were there while I was talking to him, and it was not possible for me to ignore that. And I wasn't able to be completely in my wise mind and be out of my emotional mind. I just couldn't do it completely, but it was a drastic improvement, compared to how I would have been in the past. I started off this channel being very hateful. And that's starting to change now. I'm questioning that. I'm realizing that that approach is really counterproductive. I'm not going to win hearts and minds with that approach. I think it's normal for us to feel upset and angry about what these people are doing, especially when I read the comments on articles such as the one I just shared with you. When people write about how these people want to stay ignorant, it seems. They want to remain willfully ignorant and just seem to not care at all about wildlife. All they care about is their cat. They think it's cruel and selfish to keep cats cooped up, and they just cannot extend their compassion to other species. And that is really upsetting. And and then you have the people who call you names and attack you and laugh at you. It's really hard to remain calm and patient with people like that. So I just try to avoid people like that. I will drop facts on them, and then I'll change my settings, or I'll click on the 3 little dots to make sure that I am not notified of any replies to my comment, because I don't want to deal with people who are disrespectful or just plain stupid. And stay tuned, because my next video is going to be on the subject of stupidity. But I just don't think that being aggressive or hateful is going to have any sort of positive effect here. It's not going to change the situation. It's not going to make them change their mind. Oh, my neighbor was really mean to me and called me names and blew up at me. Oh, I think I'll do what she said and keep my cat inside. That's not going to happen ever. I've talked a lot lately on my channel in my community section. I've been putting up posts. If you guys don't check out my community section, please do so, because I do post things there regularly. When I don't have time to make videos, I'll just share random thoughts and links to stuff and whatever. But it's becoming more apparent to me that the way forward is to treat these people with respect, And what was I saying? Where was I? Time for another sip of lemonade. Hold on. Yeah, so the way forward is not to be hateful, because one thing that these people don't realize is that they are the ones who are actually being cruel to animals. And this is what we need to help them realize. I think that that is the only way we are going to achieve a pet-free future. I've talked a lot about how dog ownership is cruel. I have a whole playlist dedicated to that. But it is cruel to let cats roam outdoors. For all of these reasons that I'm sharing with you, getting them to see that is the first step, and calling them out on it. I didn't bring it up with this guy. I mean, he was on his way home. I was on my way home. It wasn't like we were going to sit down and have this drawn out conversation. And honestly, I was feeling emotional. And when we are feeling emotional, it's difficult to think rationally. And so that's something I want to work on. I want to work at keeping my cool. If I could stay cool and calm and unemotional, I know that I would be much more effective at conveying this message to dog and cat owners. I can't tell you how many times after a heated confrontation, I thought, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I should have said that. I probably would have said all those things that I wished I had said if I were unemotional. So that's something I want to work on, and I'd like you to think about working on that as well. A lot of people in my community really don't like me because I challenge their beliefs, their cherished beliefs, and I don't even care anymore. I don't have a lot of friends. I'm okay with that. I know that this is not easy for other people to do, but I hope that some of you will feel inspired by my story. I'm not sure if this guy's ever going to change his ways. Maybe he won't. Maybe he will. I didn't change my feelings about cats when Marco, and I talked about Marco in my video called Dog Lover to Dog Hater, A Journey. I did not change the way I felt about cats when he presented me with a different perspective on cats. He was the first person who spoke realistically about cats to me. Well, not really. I mean, my grandfather and my dad used to shoot BB guns with cats. Yeah, they used to shoot BB guns with cats. They did. Yep. Cats with BB guns. Because both were bird enthusiasts. I remember being horrified by this as a child. And I didn't understand, but now I understand. I still don't think it's the answer. I understand the feeling behind it and why they did it, but I mean, I don't think it's the answer. The answer is to raise awareness, which is what I'm trying to do. But it wasn't until my late 30s, early 40s that I really started to see a problem with dogs first, and then a problem with cats afterwards. Only after starting this channel, actually, did I become more informed and more aware of the problem. And because I do love wild animals, natural animals, I just can't ignore this subject. People will talk about putting bells on cats as though this is an effective way to keep cats from killing birds. It really isn't all that effective. Studies show that cats equipped with a bell or bells captured 41% fewer birds, and the cats equipped with a sonic device caught 51% fewer birds. Then there are other things you can put on your cat, like different collars and bibs, which are shown to be a little more effective according to studies. But realistically, how many cat owners are willing to fit their cats with these large collars and bibs, which must be very uncomfortable for their cats? I have never seen a cat wearing anything like this. Have you? If you read the reviews, people are saying that these collars and bibs, which are supposed to be much more effective than bells, are not effective at all. They're still seeing their cats killing birds. I think it's cruel to keep cats indoors. I think it's cruel to put these collars on cats. I think this is a no-win situation. Owning a cat is a no-win situation. Just like owning a dog is a no-win situation. There's no loving way to own a dog. Responsible dog ownership does not exist. Dogs suffer if you keep them indoors. They suffer if you let them roam, and it's the same with cats. Dog ownership is inherently cruel, and so is cat ownership. When I had indoor cats, they spent most of their time staring longingly out the window, and I could tell they wished they could be outside. In fact, one day, I accidentally left the window open a little too wide. I was surprised to find out that my cat was able to squeeze through that space and fell off my third-story windowsill. I never found the cat, never saw it again, and I feel very bad about that. I know those cats I had were not happy indoors. All animals want to be free. Although keeping a cat indoors is much, much better than letting it roam outdoors, it still isn't a loving thing to do. Letting a cat roam outdoors is also not a loving thing to do. No matter what you do, it's going to be cruel to own a dog or a cat. So the only solution is to not replace your dog or cat when it dies, and to frown upon dog and cat ownership, and discourage others from owning dogs and cats. That is the only way forward in a compassionate, loving society that we are trying to establish. So I think I've said everything I wanted to say on that subject. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments. The future is pet-free.